Hi, and welcome back to the Bonus Features podcast with Reese and Ted. Today, our main topic of discussion is going to be musicals. But before we get to that, we're going to talk about the movies we've watched recently. So, Ted, what have you watched recently?
I have not seen too much, apart from a little bit of homework for the podcast we got coming up. But I've seen a little Tom Hanks film called Splash. I don't know if you've ever seen Splash.
I've not seen Splash.
It's a film, I'll tell you that. Can't say I really enjoyed it. I think it's a pretty terrible film. I think it's just very Tom Hanks, like, rubbish, where he's just playing, like, sort of lost guy who doesn't know what he wants to do, and then, like, you know, a little bit of a ladies' man, and then it's given like Big. It was just not a good movie. So do you know the premise of it?
No, I also don't. I've never seen Big either. So
fair enough.
Well,
Big is discussion for another day, but Splash is basically Tom Hanks falls into Cape Cod. Do you know what Cape Cod is? It's just a place in America. I think it's in Florida. It's just like a bit of water. And then like a mermaid saves him. And this is when he's a child. And so he goes back there much, much later on in life when he's like late 20s, early 30s. Falls off the boat he's on, and the mermaid saves him. And then the mermaid, turns out she's in love with Tom Hanks this whole time. So she goes to New York City to be with Tom Hanks. And then you just see this mermaid like interact with the sea. So she has the sort of like aerial, fun. She has like the aerial power where she goes out of water and then suddenly she gets legs. But it's just not good. Just seems, a bit outdated, a bit sexist, but that's sort of to be expected from most like 80s, 90s cheap films.
Yeah, not ideal, but it was the way of the times, unfortunately.
Yeah, because it has like this idea. It's just like, oh, girl sees guy and then is immediately in love with him, and then will do anything to be with him. So just very much like a male fantasy of what he wants, or like what a man would want a woman to be like.
Okay, so. Fair enough. I've watched, on the other end, quite a few movies recently. Ranging between some that are they're decent, but mostly not great movies. I can't say I've watched anything really good recently. I watched Eddie the Eagle. That was pretty.
Yes,
that was pretty decent. The movie covering the first British Olympian in 50-something years to take up. Is it the ski jump? I think it was.
Yeah, well, it's just like it's based on Eddie the Eagle. Yeah,
it was fun.
So you follow him, his coach, played by Hugh Jackman. I think it's cool that you see the there's like I think he's a Finnish ski jumper who's basically like miles better than anyone else, and there's like a discussion they have in an elevator together where he's just saying we're like 11 and 1 o'clock.
Yeah,
they're both like super passionate about ski jumping. One's just really, really good. The other one's not so good. But they both have that desire to be good. They're not doing it for the money or the medals or anything. They're doing it for the
acknowledgement.
Which I think is like a pretty good analogy to think of. And that Finnish guy in the film is like a real ski jumper who was very much the best in the world, sort of thing.
Controversial as it may seem, I watched that, and then I watched Citizen Kane. I enjoyed Eddie the Eagle more than I enjoyed Citizen Kane.
Yeah, I think Citizen Kane is a bit overrated as well. People say it's like the greatest film ever made. And don't get me wrong, I think it's good. As well as like a directorial debut by Orson Welles. It's also kind of crazy. Because I don't know if you know, he wrote, produced, and starred in it. Which is it's pretty impressive. I know they referenced that in Ed Wood, Tim Burton's Ed Wood.
It's been referenced a lot in media, and a lot of people talk about it, as you say, as one of the great movies. But I wasn't getting any of that watching it. I was like, this is. I mean, don't get me wrong, it was made 80 years ago or whatever, but it felt slow, sort of unexciting, I guess. And the main character's not a good guy. Like, he's not someone that I empathize with or find all that nice a person. So I'm watching through it going, I'm not really that fussed.
I don't think he's supposed to be a good guy, but
Well, no,
I know
but-
the point, like, of a lot of the appeal towards Citizen Kane is how revolutionary it is in the filmmaking itself. Because there's like a really like poignant scene right at the beginning where you see Citizen Kane, you see him playing with his sled, Starbuck,
Yes.
on a snowy hill, and then it zooms back and you go through the window, very Hitchcockian, and then you see like the I think it's the dad negotiating with the rich man about selling Citizen Kane to this rich man, and just having that like layered scene in what 1945 or something it is.
1941.
1941.
Yeah.
That is just like that is crazy when you think
It
about
has some really cool scenes in it, don't get me wrong. I just see, as good as some of these elements could be, that as cool as it is, as much as it's inspired, I just find the product itself and the story itself to just not be, I mean, maybe it's just because we're 80 years on, but just not to my taste.
I think you've like a lot of older films, you've got to look at them retrospectively.
Yeah.
With the fact that if you look at a lot of other 1940s films, especially early 1940s films, and compare them to Citizen Kane, Citizen Kane's filmmaking is going to be miles better, like way more complex than anything else made there. So I can get how the story won't be for anyone, like for everyone, but the film itself and just how
Yeah.
it's made is very much like just way ahead of its time. Even just stuff like using like low camera angles or high camera angles. The fact that he hasn't just put the camera on a tripod or on a dolly and just kept it in the same place as the scene goes on. It's so much more complex than most things you see at that time.
I appreciate it, and I appreciate that they're spending, like, the scenes aren't all necessarily in chronological order of how they happen. There's the modern day, I guess, investigators trying to work out why he's said this name.
Starbuck.
Yeah, when he's died, that was the last thing
The
he
importance
said.
of his last words, yeah.
But then they go through his life, or the film goes through his life, trying to paint all of this sort of imagery of what he went through, and everyone's finding this out, going, well, what did this mean? And no one actually does, but you as the viewer.
I think it's like a pretty good like analogy of like the meaning of life and stuff and the importance of what you do, and that you could have this big successful life and make all this money and have all this influence, but at the end of the day it's all meaningless. That, you know, the last thought you have is this childhood memory of a loving family. That's the last thing you cling to, even though, you know, you have all this money or you have all these people around you. You know, it's those cherished memories that are with you at the end, which are yours.
Yeah.
Which is the fact that no one knows what Starbuck means and no one really cares, because, spoiler, but the last scene in the film is them throwing this sled which has Starbuck on it into the incinerator when they're burning all of his stuff. So
Yeah, it's the idea that I've given this quite a poor rating. And then the next film that I was actually going to mention, which is Elektra, you're probably going to have no positives to say about.
I haven't seen it, but from my judgment of Ben Affleck's Daredevil, it can't be good. I don't even know why you'd warrant a sequel of Elektra after watching Daredevil, which is
I thought Daredevil was at least like fun. Don't get me wrong, it's not a good movie really, but I found it quite sort of fun in areas, almost fun to laugh at, because some areas are just like, what are we doing having a training scene to Evanescence while all you're doing is fighting some bags of sand? This just seems like crazy, but it seems very mid-2000s. Elektra was just it was just uninteresting. It lost even that fun, like can take jabs at it. It was just nothing
For
really.
me, with a bad film, I can enjoy a bad film if it sort of knows it's bad and is comically bad. I think my problem with Daredevil is that it thinks it's good when it's really bad, and then it just becomes wildly uninteresting. So it's like when I say I can commend a film if I hate it, because then at least it's made me feel something about that. But when I watch Daredevil, I just don't care. It's just stuff happens. I'm like, right, why am I doing this? I'd rather just watch the Charlie Cox TV series, the Netflix TV series, which is just infinitely better. So
Yeah, I've heard nothing but good things about Daredevil. I should get around to watching it at some point in the TV series, at least. And they have revived it, or they are reviving
yeah, it's like
Born Again or something.
Born Again,
Yeah,
which is actually the name of a Daredevil comic line.
so that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I've had some films that I've got more positive things to say on. We'll talk about more recent releases. The likes of Good Luck, Have Fun, Don't Die, I thought was pretty fun and interesting take on society and where it's going, I guess.
I don't know. To me, it just feels like an 80-year-old person has just made this because they're angry about younger generations. I've just exaggerated everything, as well as the story just being a complete rip-off of Terminator 2.
I don't see. This is. I remember you saying this before I walked in, and I sat there and watched this with my partner, and we got to the end of that. And outside of the fact that you travel back in time, neither of us could understand what you meant by it just being Terminator 2.
They go to the guy who makes Skynet, and to put a thing in the Skynet program to stop them from being evil, which is the exact premise.
I suppose, yeah.
Of this film. It's literally like word for word the same. They just go
I guess,
back in time to stop the person who made it from making it bad, which is the exact same.
I'm not gonna spoil how this movie goes, as it is still in cinemas, and I personally think people should watch it, but I don't think it ends necessarily in the same way that Terminator 2 does.
Yeah, I guess it's hard to go into this without the spoilers.
Yeah. There's definitely a different layer to it than Terminator 2 goes for. You disagree.
I want to say stuff, but I don't want to spoil it. But
Okay.
I'll just say that it's like
We'll agree to
Terminator 2 can't obviously have a super happy ending because there's like Terminator 3, 4, 5, and 6, and 7, and so on. So, I think you could definitely read into...
We'll agree to disagree, and maybe we can come back to this further down the line once people have seen it.
Yeah, it's got another week. It is fun, though. I had
100%.
fun watching it, but I don't necessarily think it's a great film. It gives the feeling of being like AI itself, as in like, I feel like the script has been written by an AI.
AI comes up too much now, and I hate how much it comes up because it just feels like... what is it? The older generation thinking they're cool and hip by talking about AI, and it's like... No one wants to hear about AI. Everyone's fed up with it just existing. I didn't watch Mercy, in January with Chris Pratt, but that was all about AI. I've just watched Scream. They bring up AI in that. Like, why are they bringing up AI in Scream? This is not what
I think
I'm
there
here
is
for.
discussions to be had with AI. Mainly, I think, around the ecological damage that it causes. Because I don't even know about how much water.
Well, we can
AI
have the
takes
political discussion about it. I just don't think we need to have it mentioned in every movie now.
It's like my issue with it is like becoming hostile and like taking over the world. I think that's been done so much.
Agreed.
In eras of the 80s. I think you could make a film on like, the ecological impact of it and how it just burns through so much water, or the fact that these big AI companies are buying all, like an example is they're buying loads of RAM from RAM sellers. And then these RAM sellers know they'll make so much money more from just selling to these AI companies that they won't actually sell their RAM to consumers anymore, which is why RAM prices have gone up. So I guess I think the talk about it is how it's sort of affecting us ecologically as well as economically, rather than fantasy about it taking over the world.
That is a far more interesting debate we can have at some point, I imagine. Maybe not necessarily, unless we can wrap it up into being film related a bit more. Maybe the further down the line. But
I guess maybe people wouldn't watch a film if it's...
Yeah, my personal grievance is just that I think AI is just... It's almost brought up to be the bad guy with no real explanation. It's a lazy write-off, essentially, for films now. When it's as if everyone's had the same idea of, let's make AI the bad guy. And
I think it also just builds off that idea that a lot of people aren't knowledgeable about AI.
Yeah.
And so when you have it as something like going crazy and taking over the world, because they don't, like, a lot of people don't know a lot about it, they see it as a lot more plausible, which is where the horror comes from, the scariness comes from.
And that's it. I don't think that's helpful for the real world, but I want to stop talking about AI. Any other movies I've seen recently? Shelter and Crime 101. First one is a Jason Statham action movie, pretty much the same as any other Jason Statham action movie, so it's good for what it is.
And he's just doing a heist, being like, I don't want to do it anymore, and then say, but we need you, and he's like, what's the plan?
Well, this is more the other kind, where it's he's living a peaceful life, then some group come to disturb him, and now he has to go on some vengeful killing spree to get peace again.
That's what I mean, where it's just like, he's like, I don't want to do it, I'm like past with this life, and then they're like, but we need you, and then he's like, I'm in, what are we doing, sort of thing. It's just like every film ever. So.
He's always one of those special agents that's covert, no one knew about the program, but he was one of the best. It's always one of those. And that's exactly what this is. But it does have the benefit of having Bill Nighy in it. So I thought, that's an added bonus.
Yeah.
Bill Nighy's in everything now, but...
Good. I never realised that he was Davy Jones in Pirates of the Caribbean. I was that crazy.
Yeah.
He's in a film called, I think it was called Living.
Yes, that was meant to be really good.
Because that's an adaptation of Akira Kurosawa's Ikaru.
Yeah.
Which is a very good film, which is an adaptation of Fyodor Dostoevsky's The Idiot, which is also a very good book to read. So it's just a pretty cool, like, a little chain of, all these cultures interpreting this one story. So
nice.
Pretty cool.
And Crime 101 is just Chris Hemsworth being a thief, and a clever one at that. Mark Ruffalo being on his case and chasing him down. But there's
Barry
more
Keoghan,
to it.
Just somewhere in the mix as well.
He's trying to take Chris Hemsworth's place, and so it all builds throughout the movie to at least a somewhat interesting conclusion.
I just think it's probably just going to be your like generic action slop. It's just going to be like reskin of many other the heist films.
I think it's more drama than it is action. There's a lot more build up and slow tempo than speedy action, everyone fighting kind of thing.
I think the interesting thing though is that I've heard Chris Hemsworth saying that he's taken these like worse roles that he knows is just like generic Hollywood film because he wants to get, I think his words exactly were, if he has the opportunity to make all this money, then he sort of owes it to himself to do it, to like, if that means he can buy his aunt a house or something that she needs, or if he can help put more of his children or like his grandchildren.
Well, I think he knows, doesn't he have like a health condition or something that's going to kick in more in his later years?
He's likely to get Alzheimer's.
That was it,
It's like 100% he will get it. So it's not now, but he will.
So he wants to get all this acting done now. So
but I don't think it's like a huge like rush thing.
Yeah.
It's just the fact that he has some form of genetic code where it means he's very, very likely to get it. So he's just, I guess.
What a somber point to end our movie recap on. But now that we've discussed this, we'll have a gander into what the movie gossip is.
So this week, it hasn't been too much, but the main thing I've heard is that Christian Bale has been casted in the sequel to Heat, which is pretty exciting.
Yeah, I've not seen Heat, but I've heard good things. You have seen Heat, haven't you?
Yeah, I'm quite a big Michael Mann fan. I think Heat isn't his best. Heat to me is very much a film made by a man, for men, about men. It's just action film where two guys trying to capture like the Robert De Niro's character is trying to not get caught robbing these banks, and then Al Pacino's character is trying to get him. It's like a couple episodes ago I was saying the sort of films I like, and it's these very, very homoerotic 90s action films like Top Gun. This film is so gay. These characters, Robert De Niro and Al Pacino, they're in love with each other, and they just don't admit it.
So, do you think this movie is going to be a follow-on from that, a reboot of that, or how do you think they're going to approach this?
I don't know. I feel like I can talk about spoilers since the film's been out for many years.
You guys have had your warning.
But it ends with Al Pacino shooting Robert De Niro's character in an airport, like in a runway at an airport. So maybe, I don't know, it follows like a child of them. I don't know, because the one of the main lines in the film is Robert De Niro's character saying he doesn't stay attached to something he can't drop and leave in like 30 seconds. So maybe, and like he then like starts a relationship with this girl. So maybe that girl got pregnant, and then she's learned about his father. I guess that's a little bit of like, that Ryan Gosling heist film, like The Place Beyond the Pines. It's a bit like that, I guess.
Okay.
I know Al Pacino's character lives, so maybe it's just another heist. But
Do you think he'll be in it?
I don't think so. I think he's a bit old. Maybe it's like a cameo. I don't know.
Yeah, I think a cameo would be
It
nice.
has that sort of like Michael Mann blue sort of tinge to the whole atmosphere there. In most Michael Mann films, they're always in LA, and it's like this like at night dark blue atmosphere, almost like neon. It's pretty cool. He makes this really good film called Thief, which I'm a big fan of.
Okay.
Which has a Tangerine Dream soundtrack, who I'm also a very big fan of. So I won't blame you haven't heard of Tangerine Dream.
Yeah, I won't lie. I don't know much about this. I would say I probably know more about the next segment of news, which is Sonic 4 has begun filming, which I don't know how they keep doing it, but they keep making more. They've brought Jim Carrey out of retirement multiple times for this.
Yeah, I've seen one. I've seen Sonic 1. Can't say I'm that fussed about seeing Sonic 2 or 3 or 4 by any reality.
I think they're all perfectly serviceable kids' movies. The last one had a good fun dance sequence with Jim Carrey and Jim Carrey because he plays his own dad for fun. It is. I think it's just fun, and it's one of those kids' movies where you can kind of switch off, and it's just a bit of a laugh, even for adults to watch.
Marston's still in it.
Yeah, it's still going. You got Idris Elba and Ben Schwartz and other noteworthy cast members that are slipping my mind currently.
Can't say I'm going to watch it, but I can acknowledge there definitely is a fan base for it.
So
I guess you wouldn't have a fourth one if there wasn't.
Well, they sequel bait. I remember them sequel baiting in the last one, but
yeah, I guess when you have so much source material to go off with all the Sonic games,
well, that's it.
It's kind of easy to.
They'll keep going and they'll keep going, so they'll make money for as long as people keep coming to watch it.
Yeah,
I don't know if Jim Carrey will be in the next one, but we said this last time, and he ended up being one of the main sort of characters in it.
Yeah. I guess it probably is a bit boring if you have the same antagonist for the fourth time in a row. I don't really know anything about the Sonic antagonists. But
I don't know. He's not always. He has good moments. Not like.
Isn't Metal Sonic in Sonic 3?
Is he?
Or I think they tease Metal Sonic.
They might tease it. I don't know if
I feel like I've definitely seen something about
it.
Metal Sonic.
You might have been. I don't know
from
much about the games. So.
Well, I only know Metal Sonic from the Mario and Sonic at the Winter Olympic Games Wii game. So that's.
I've only played the Summer Olympic Games, so I'm missing out on that knowledge. But yeah, anyway, that's started recording, and I imagine that will probably be a couple of years out.
Probably sometime next year, I reckon.
Yeah, late. They like December releases now,
that,
so it might be late 2027.
But yeah, I know Scream 7 has been. Well, I haven't heard good reviews, but it's been making money. So
Yes, so it's pushed the franchise past $1 billion, which, you know what, fair play, I guess.
then again, is that great when you consider it's the seventh film?
I don't know, because the first one in the 90s was, and I think 100 million in the 90s probably would have been pretty good going,
Yeah,
whereas
but then,
100 million
like,
now is.
Does this consider like re-releases they've done and stuff? Because I know a lot of Scream fans
imagine it
would
does.
probably go back and
Yeah.
watch the older ones when they get put back in cinema.
Well, the
so.
merchandise we had here sold pretty quickly for
Yeah,
Scream,
yeah.
so it's definitely a popular
Thing is, I know
franchise.
people don't like this one because they cut out certain actors and actresses in it. I've also heard that they don't like the killer in this one.
I watched it. I actually watched it this morning. So this is we covered slashers last week, so you guys probably already remember that I've watched Screams 5 and 6, and that's it. I don't think it's as good as 5 or 6, but I'm also now starting to find myself getting quite frustrated watching slashers and thinking people can't make a smart decision to literally save their life. So
That's a sort of staple of a slasher, though.
it is, but I'd like more clever ones with characters that get caught out because the killer's thinking. I'd rather a killer be smart than a character be stupid. Like, a character being caught out because the killer's actually fought ahead of them is far more interesting than a character's just gone, oh, the killer's in that room, don't worry, I'll take care of them. Like, that literally happens at one point.
I just think that's safe. I think if you want to watch like a smart killer, then you just watch something like Silence of the Lambs. Yeah, I think this is like where you just like watch people be silly and then get killed. It's
Yeah.
just don't take them seriously in slashes. It's that sort of film where it's just made to be comical. That's why
Well, I don't even think it's comical. I
but
just think
that's
it's
why
frustrating.
Scream always mocks all the other slashers by
Yeah.
making it comical. Like, by having that guy watching TV being like, oh, it's behind you, and then the killer's behind him. It's just mocking the genre of slashers by its, like, conventions. So,
I do think it's as I say, I won't spoil it, but I do think it's at least got a satisfying ending now. So
fair enough. But I think the only other news I can think of is Zendaya and Tom Holland have got married recently, so...
yeah, we're not sure when, but they've gone public with it recently. So good on them. That's fair. They've always seemed quite like cute couple, I guess.
Yeah, I guess see them as she's not Mary Jane in no, I think
She is. Yeah, she's MJ.
MJ in the Spider-Man. I guess the only noteworthy thing I can think of is that most of, or pretty much all of the MJs have been in relationships with all of Spider-Man, like Kirsten Dunst and Tobey Maguire, and then Andrew Garfield. And well, this was Gwen Stacy with.
Were they actually in a
Emma Stone.
relationship? I didn't know they were.
Yeah, for a while.
Okay, I just thought they were really good friends.
And then, no, they were. And then I think the funny thing is that the guy who plays Miles Morales was trying to
yes, I heard
incite this thing with Haley Steinfeld for the Across the Spider-Verse franchise, and then she was just like not having any of it. And obviously, she's engaged and married to Josh Allen now. So,
do you think that's truly the reason why we still haven't seen the next Spider-Verse movie?
I don't know.
Say cast issues.
Yeah, it just seems. It doesn't seem like malicious though. It's just a bit awkward, but.
It's been 3 years since that last Spider-Verse movie, and no signs of the next one.
Yeah, I can't say I really care about it, but
I think the first one was really good. I think the second one was just, it was fine, and I didn't really get that excited because it was meant to be a part 1, part 2 thing, and nothing's resolved, and now we're 3 years into waiting for this part 2, essentially.
yeah, I mean, I just don't like films that aren't like full films, and nothing happens in the second one. At the start of the film, he's doing his own thing, learning to be Spider-Man. Then at the end, he's like, nah, I'm going to do my own thing. Just going to continue doing... There's no, like, development. The only development you see is in Gwen Stacy's character, the people that then get to go help him at the end. It's just, I'd rather watch, like, a 5-hour film where it's a full story arc rather than just half a film that's sequel based.
You'll never hear me say the words, I'd rather watch a 5-hour film.
You're missing out.
I was going to say Oppenheimer killed me off, and I really enjoyed that, but there's one in particular that I'm going to talk about in a minute that I thought was too long. So I don't know if I could do 5 hours.
I think that about wraps up the movie news. So why don't we get into the main discussion of the episode, which will be musicals. So yeah, I'm quite a big fan of musicals. So I've seen a significant amount. So I think it might be a good idea if you give me your thoughts on some you've watched, some you like, some you don't like, and then I can sort of just weigh in, maybe add a couple of my opinions at the end.
Yeah, I mean, that works. First off, I'll give my views on musicals as a whole, I guess, which I do quite like a musical. But for me, a musical is a movie in which characters sing songs. And it might sound like I'm being really obvious on this to some people. But there are some films which can be classed as musicals in which the characters don't necessarily sing the songs, or it's just got a lot of music in it. So I want to be clear that I feel musicals, at least the ones that I prefer especially, are ones where the characters in the story are doing the singing.
I mean, I see a musical as, either characters in the musical sing songs to express their feelings, or songs are used to express the feelings of the characters. So it's where song is being used to make a message rather than to just fill the silence in a gap. So if you have two characters in love and then a love song plays and it sort of relates to their relationship, I would consider that musical. And if it continues to do that throughout the show,
I can see that. Before we started recording, we loaded up a list of musicals, and we're having a little bit of fun looking through them because it had both Ratatouille and Spider-Man on, which I definitely don't consider musicals, but you're...
I can see Ratatouille as a musical, because I think Ratatouille uses music to convey a point during some of their scenes, like when he's tasting the grapes and the cheeses, or the strawberry and the cheeses. I think that use of music there, stuff like that, or when he's cooking, that conveys a message. I don't get something like, I mean, I haven't seen Bend It Like Beckham.
That's on
which
there
is
as
also
well.
on that list. But Spider-Man, the only music I can think of Spider-Man is when you get angry Peter Parker and he's doing that dance down the street. And
that's Spider-Man 3.
Yeah,
this has Spider-Man 1 on it.
Yeah, I was going to say, I can't think of any music segment in Spider-Man 1. Maybe in The Amazing Spider-Man 1. That definitely uses music a lot more.
It does.
I know one of my favourite scenes from that is when Coldplay's Till Kingdom Come plays while he's doing a Footloose training dance montage, skateboard montage in this shipyard. I can see that as musical-esque, but yeah, the one on that list is the first Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, which to me is just not very musical, but fair enough. Maybe this guy probably just looked at another list and put it in.
Yeah, I'm imagining so. Now, if we were talking about my favourite movies on this particular list, I would talk about Ratatouille because I'm quite fond of it, but given my views on what I think a musical is, I am going to leave that aside for now. Personally, I think my favourite out-and-out musical is The Greatest Showman.
Yeah, I like it. I was listening to Never Enough yesterday, so that's a bit of a crazy coincidence.
Yeah, it's
probably in my head because we're talking about musicals.
Well, but quite possibly. It's a movie which is one of the first ones I watched after I became a cinema worker, and it didn't initially get much traction. I remember the first couple of weeks we thought, it's just going to disappear out. And then word of mouth really worked for it. And suddenly we ended up showing that movie for about 5 months, I think. It just kept going and going and going and going. But I went in with people hyping it up for me, but I still went in with low expectations. and I felt blown away by it because it was just the songs were great, the story that was being told around it. Yeah, the guy might not be as good in real life as the musical
P.T.
painted him
Barnum
out.
is notoriously a horrible as
But I say, if you take out that part of it, I found it really enjoyable. And there's one of the sort of points that I'd make as to what makes a really good musical is that most of the songs in that I can remember. They're iconic. They're distinguishable. If they start playing, I instantly think, the scene from The Greatest Showman.
Yeah. I have that same sort of thing with, I like Frozen 1, which also musical.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
a lot of Frozen 1 songs stick in my mind. I cannot tell you a single Frozen 2 song. I did not like Frozen 2.
I can tell you one, and then it's purely from cleaning that screen so much as Into the Unknown. Because was it Panic at the Disco did the song for the credits, and it was so loud compared to anything else. Every time you'd walk in, it would just be like Into the Unknown, and you'd be like deafened almost.
But yeah, I can sort of get what you're saying. I don't think like a musical you should warrant on how like memorable the songs are. I think musicals are more than their music, to me at least. But
I think the music makes a real difference, though. I think, yes, a musical is always more than its music, but its music is a massive factor in what it is. Take Encanto, which is another musical I think quite highly of. I can distinctly remember a lot of songs. It might have something to do with my partner non-stop singing them, but like those songs, they told stories. They were impactful. They conveyed the emotions, as you say, of the characters really well. I thought Encanto was a really good Disney movie, but also a really good musical.
you see, my issue with a lot of like newer Disney musicals and stuff, or mainly probably just Disney musicals themselves, is that they seem to be musicals for the sake of having music in them to draw people to watch them, rather than using it as like a impactful thing. It's like using a film and putting catchy songs in it so that people will come and watch it, rather than it being a good musical itself. Like, I haven't seen Encanto. But even like something like what's the Disney one? Is it Luca?
Luca, yeah.
Where they're like the fish people.
Yeah.
Just like films like these, it just seems like they have. Or I don't know. Does Elio have any music in it?
I don't recall much music in there in Elio. I know you've brought up Luca. I forgot that film existed. I've seen it. Yeah. But I forgot that film existed.
It's just like some of these like newer Disney musicals just seem to put them in to draw people in rather than it be impactful at all. Then again, I know Lin-Manuel Miranda was the guy behind Encanto's.
Was he?
So, pretty sure.
Is it him for Hamilton as well?
He's the main guy of
is.
Hamilton. Yeah.
Where I have less fond views of Hamilton, as we were talking before the recording. You know what? I'll go into my problems of Hamilton. I really enjoyed the first 10 minutes of Hamilton. You get back-to-back, like, banging songs that I've heard probably a million times already because people non-stop sing Hamilton and praise it to high heaven. But then, because we were establishing there's two different types of musicals, I guess. The ones where the characters sing, then do story, then sing, then story, then sing, then story. And the ones where they're just singing every word. And I find ones where they're just singing every word almost exhausting. It doesn't give you that break or that distinction between song to song. And so I was finding that by 40 minutes into this musical, that I was almost exhausted, like watching it, and was looking at the time to see I had another 2 hours left of it, and it ended up on bureaucracy was the main topic of of this stage show, and I couldn't understand why everyone loved it so much.
Yeah, I mean, I know by the sounds of it, are you saying you see music in a musical as like a way to relax then? That is like, that's when you can shut up a bit more and just listen to the music rather than the story?
I think the music... I think the music was losing its impact because it was constant. Whereas when you have dialogue, you have meaningful dialogue that you sort of... That moves the story along. In my mind, anyway, that meaningful dialogue to move the story along, and then the musical to exacerbate the event in the story, whether that be the portrayal of an emotion or of a scene or whatever it is that they want to highlight, that would be highlighted in the song, and then you'd move on to the next scene using dialogue. That would be my preference in a musical, kind of like those Disney ones you don't like.
Yeah, I guess to me, I very much like Hamilton, and I don't have an issue with it all being music, because I see the singing as just another form of dialogue rather than a tool. It's like, it's present like they say it differently because one's singing and one's speaking, but at the end of the day, it's still just dialogue. It's just performed differently. So I don't have an issue with it being all music, because I just read it as all dialogue, just in musical form. And I also think I quite like the story itself. I think the bureaucracy and all the politics in it is quite interesting. You see the foundation of America through quite a cool lens, where you have this story which is about a bunch of old white men who founded this nation, but it's told through characters who are predominantly African American or Hispanic. So you have this re-portrayal of America almost made by a very current American like demographic, where sort of reimagining this history through the lens of current, US ethnographics.
Yeah, I think the concept is quite interesting, and I did enjoy. There were segments of it where I went like, "Wow, this is quite interesting. It's quite impactful." Especially when Thomas Jefferson first steps onto the scene and starts rapping, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, this is cool." But it quickly became old again, and again, without the respite, for me it just sort of faded. But I'm also less interested in the foundations of America, so that might
I quite like this.
push it.
I also think it sort of deals with like the sort of female characters quite well, with the fact of like how they're influenced by their partners and how their partners are influenced by them. And you see it's like, these people made this country, but it's also a lot more than just them. It's their family and their life.
See, I didn't get that. I thought the female characters were portrayed quite poorly in Hamilton. I didn't get much impact from them at all. If anything, it felt like they were just sort of being treated and used through.
Yeah, but it's like the acknowledgement that the fact that he's gone off and doing all these things important, but he's forgotten about his wife, the person he loved. I think that acknowledgement of that mistreatment sort of shows you the issue with these characters,
I see that a bit more.
Historical significance of the role of women within these societies. It's saying like, it has been historically bad, and like, these people are important and they should have recognition even though they didn't at the time.
Another story where the moral is that men are not great people.
Yeah, but I think you look through history and there is definitely a lot of truth.
You can't argue with that one. I do also think, because all of the musicals, at least to my knowledge, that we've discussed so far, all use original music. I don't think that necessarily has to be the case. I'm quite a fan of Mamma Mia.
Yeah.
Both Mamma Mias, in fact.
Yeah, I guess Hamilton is just a theatre production that was filmed rather than being a musical. But something like Mamma Mia is 100% just, like a film musical. Yeah, not original score, but it's fun. Yeah. I don't really like the second one as much, but the first one's pretty good. I like ABBA, so...
Well, this is ABBA, one of the great bands, probably one of the greatest of all time. with so many amazing songs. It was not. I don't know who came up with the idea to go, let's make a musical and just use ABBA songs, but it was a fantastic idea. Whoever did it.
Yeah, it's fun. Don't think it's necessarily like super deep, but you have a good time. You know the songs, and I think that helps it quite a lot. I think a lot of people that might like Mamma Mia just like ABBA, and then like Mamma Mia because ABBA, like all the ABBA songs are in
And
it.
a huge cast as well.
Yeah, I think Meryl Streep is definitely a big drawing for that. People love Meryl.
Indeed. Trying to think if there's any others that we need to talk about. I suppose one of the first ones that a lot of people our age probably would have watched would have been High School Musical.
Yeah, I actually watched that for the first time, like first year of uni. I think that's when I got around to seeing it. Just went around someone's house and watched all three. Yeah, they're pretty cool.
I've only seen the first one. And to be fair, I watched that as an adult rather than a child or teenager. But yeah, I thought it was really good. It's good, again, good songs. Do the whole sing a song to exacerbate a point, chat and set up, and then go back to singing. And all the singing, the songs are iconic. It might be because everyone in my year was singing them when I was like 10, but
yeah, it's that sort of thing where it's just, I think Disney produced these musicals because they know the songs will do well, and then people watch them for the songs. I enjoy it. I think it's a good film, but I can acknowledge the fact that it's definitely like, it's way more successful because of the songs rather than it being a good story at the end of the day.
fair enough. Are there any that you'd like to talk about?
Yeah. I mean, I've seen a lot of musicals. I guess I can start off by naming some of my favorites. I'm a big fan of La La Land.
That's a good choice.
I think La La Land is a very good musical. I think it's a very good film in general. I just have a lot of fun watching it. I know it always brings a tear to my eye. I also like the fact that sort of heavily inspired by old Hollywood and old like 60s musicals, which is definitely where a lot of my passion comes from. I think the one that comes to mind is Singing in the Rain. Don't know if you ever seen Singing in the Rain?
Can't say I have, but I've at least heard of this one. So
have you heard of Gene Kelly?
I've heard of Gene Kelly.
Gene Kelly is like the big sort of like 40s, 50s, and sort of 60s musical star. He's like the man, and so he directed a bunch of musicals as well. He also directs my favorite one, which isn't Singing in the Rain, but Singing in the Rain is like the big famous one that everyone knows.
Yeah, I think I've seen the scene of him singing in the rain.
Yeah,
So that's
it's pretty
iconic
iconic. In the rain, swinging around his umbrella. That's the main thing.
But going back to La La Land, it has those songs that are iconic that you mentioned earlier, like City of Stars is a song that I can name off the top of my head, and I'm not even the biggest fan of La La Land.
And I think it's cool. I don't think that's like a new thing from Damien Chazelle though, because I know in a film like Babylon, he also just references a bunch of older films. So I think a lot of his films he's obviously
like
a huge
homage,
fan of old cinema, so he definitely just brings them along. But on the topic of Gene Kelly, my favorite musical of all time, Hello Dolly.
Dolly. Okay.
That is, I could watch that like a million times and not get bored. It's so good. It's actually the film in WALL-E when he's in his trailer and he's like learning about love and stuff like that. He's watching one of the key scenes from Hello Dolly. So that's how I found it initially.
Massive WALL-E fan, are you?
Not particularly. It's good, but it's not like I'm going to go rewatch it a bunch of times. But I am a massive fan of Hello Dolly. It's just got great songs, great actors. Louis Armstrong makes a little cameo at some point. It's something that you can just relax to. It's very happy. You don't have to take it too seriously. It's just a feel-good thing at the end of the day, which I don't think all musicals have to be. I know another musical I really, really like is the Judy Garland A Star Is Born.
Yes, I've only seen Lady Gaga's Star Is Born.
Yeah, so. I think we talked about this in my job interview when we first met, because that's when I was watching a bunch of musicals there. that is just like the most heartbreaking film of all time. It is absolutely incredible. And I watched the Lady Gaga one before watching this one, and this one is just infinitely better.
Okay.
But it's also not the original. So pretty sure this one's like a 1940s one. Pretty sure there's a 1930s Star is Born. So don't know how good that is. But yeah, I think a film like that definitely. Yeah, you do think of musicals as sort of happy, and I guess that goes into. I think it was Richard Dyer that his theory on musicals is that they're like a they're very utopian in the sense that musicals are often made to combat issues at the time. So like, I think it's a musical called like Gold Diggers in 1933. It's basically about these showgirls during the Depression trying to make money and succeeding. And obviously, that's sort of having that utopian sense that people in the Depression can make money and like there is like a resolve to this. And so I guess it's kind of interesting that you see a musical in the 1940s that also starts in 1930s, where it's sort of saying that like there isn't a happy ending to everything, and like this isn't that sort of utopian idea, which I think has sort of resurfaced a lot more recently with films like Sweeney Todd. Don't know if you've ever seen Sweeney Todd.
Can't say I have, but again, I've heard of this one.
Yeah, that is it's not a happy film at the end of the day, and I think that brings musicals back to not just being a happy thing to have music for the sake of having music.
Yes.
But it uses it to convey these messages, like to speak for the character when the character can't speak for themselves or articulate the feelings that they're wanting to say.
That's fair.
I think, yeah, I saw a bunch of like 40s and 50s ones, like Calamity Jane and Annie Get Your Gun. I could probably name a couple more, but
I've heard references to
I know Marilyn Monroe, about half of her films seem to be musicals as well. Maybe in St. Louis, that's another really good one. High Society, that's got that lady that married the Prince of Monaco, Grace Kelly, that's got her in. And Frank Sinatra. I think there's a sort of like romance to these films where there's an appeal to it. It's like these 60s musicals. They're just very happy and always seem to have a good ending. And it's the sort of thing you just watch and you know it's all going to be good and everyone's going to be with who they want to, and you feel safe watching them, which I guess is quite a comforting thing to sort of be around. So I definitely would say, as much as I like newer musicals, I'm definitely very much more a fan of much older ones.
So I've not seen many of the older ones, so I can't relate, unfortunately.
The thing about like these ones I've listed as well, they're all film musicals rather than Broadway plays that have been made into musicals. You know, like something like Wicked is a play that then has become a film. So I think it definitely has a different feel to it when you watch something that is a film musical rather than something that's been translated. Because I know when you translate it from play to film, it doesn't always work. I think a great example of that is the Dear Evan Hansen film, which is like the worst thing ever made.
So I heard. I never got a chance to watch it, but
I went to go see it in theatre in Bristol at the Hippodrome there. And that was really good when I saw it in theatre. But I'd seen the film like years prior to that, and I just noticed the worst thing I've ever seen. It's Ben Platt playing a teenager when he's like late 20s, early 30s.
I thought he was even older than that.
No, it just looks ridiculous.
Isn't it him in the stage show?
No. Well, he's in like the original one, but the one I watched is just like a different production company going around and performing it.
Fair enough.
But yeah, it's pretty good. I don't think I really have too much more. So from that, I know there's a bunch of musicals I want to watch. I recently bought a box set of 80 musicals.
Yes, I remember you telling me about this.
which would definitely take me a while to get through. There's certainly key ones I haven't seen. Like I've never seen West Side Story.
Have you not
say
seen
I'm too-
any of them?
Well, I can't say I'm too bothered about the Ansel Elgort. Elgort.
Steven Spielberg's one.
Yeah, and,
there's-
was it Rachel Ziegler?
I think so. It was. I thought it was all right. I quite liked it, and then I remember coming back in the next day and speaking to some people that had seen the original, telling me how wrong I was for liking the Spielberg one.
Yeah, but I guess can't comment too much on it because I haven't seen it. It is on my list to watch though. It's like the first one in this huge box set that I've got. I know there's a musical called Phantom of the Paradise that I really want to watch, which is a Phantom of the Opera adaptation. But the guy's got, it's like the main antagonist there, it's got this almost like Prisoner Griffith inspired helmet from Berserk. Don't even know what Berserk is. It's just it's a Japanese manga, which is very cool. It's one of my favorite. And the guy's helmet in there is very much like one that is shown in the story, which is pretty cool. Which is the main reason why I want to watch it. But apart from that, yeah, it's sort of those are I would say those are the two main ones I want to watch. The rest I'll happily just stick on and see what they're about. I certainly know a lot more musicals, like OK Oklahoma and stuff like that. I just can't say I'm really too interested in. I'm not going to sit down and be like, yes, I want to watch this one. It'll be like a rainy day, and I'll be there and I'll be like, what to watch.
It'll be a chance encounter. That's how I feel with a lot of things that I probably should have watched by now. Like Citizen Kane, I only watched it by chance because it came up on BBC iPlayer, and I was just quickly looking for something to put on, and I went, "Oh, that'll do. I probably should have watched it by now." I feel the same about Les Miserables. I haven't seen it, and at some point I know I will. But it'll probably be a chance encounter at some point on a quiet day.
I mean, I like the Les Mis songs. I haven't seen it, but I just know the musical numbers. Because I'm pretty sure the one most people have seen is the Russell Crowe, Hugh Jackman, Eddie Redmayne one.
It's got a huge cast, that one.
Anne Hathaway, she's in it. Yeah. I also know that she fully starved herself and actually made herself really thin for that role to play a malnourished French peasant in the French Revolution, which is pretty cool, I guess.
I should advise that one of our colleagues is a massive fan of Les Mis and told us we weren't allowed to be mean to it. So, as neither one of us have seen it, it's quite difficult for us to be mean to it anyway. But
yeah, I mean, I've seen clips on TikTok, but I don't think that can really.
No. We're not counting that.
I also know the premise of the story, but yeah, I just never got around to see it.
Fair enough.
Cool, but... So, Reese, what would you recommend to people?
For me, it's got to be The Greatest Showman. Absolute list of banging music. Every song it's great. You can belt it out. You can sing it in the shower. And the story, although clearly fictitious because the guy wasn't very good, is really good. And it's got a great cast. Hugh Jackman, Zac Efron, Zendaya. It's so good. I just can't speak highly of it enough. What about you, Ted?
I think I'm going to go a bit outfield here. There's a really cool, punky musical called Hedwig and the Angry Inch. That's a cool one to watch. That takes place in Germany at the fall of the Berlin Wall. That's pretty. It's a little bit wild. So I think if you like something a little bit wacky, definitely watch that. But apart from that, most definitely just Hello Dolly or A Star Is Born. They're definitely up there with some of my favourites. Definitely go into that. But
that is a good collection. I think you've got there, Ted. But why don't we just wrap this up by talking about what's coming out soon? We mentioned last week, I think, that we've got Hoppers coming out this Friday. I know you're not necessarily too excited for it, but I think Pixar's had some good films, or it's had plenty of good films in the past. I think it's a bit more checkered recently, but I've seen there's a lot of hype surrounding this one. So
I know The Bride is coming out soon as well.
Yeah, Jessie Buckley back again.
Which I'm excited for. I've watched quite a few Frankenstein adaptations, so I'll be interested to see what's done here.
Gotta love Christian Bale as well. He's been in quite a few good movies. In fact, at some point we'll probably end up talking about him a bit more in depth.
Yeah, no, this one seems a bit interesting because from what I've seen from the trailer, it almost seems like the creature has made the bride, which
Yes.
I guess I don't know too much about Frankenstein lore because I know about the book, like Mary Shelley's Frankenstein and that, story of events. So I'll be interested to see how true this is to what I imagine Frankenstein to be. But I guess we'll see.
Yeah, most certainly. And finally, I think we've also got Mother's Pride coming out on Friday, which is about a grieving family, I believe, entering a beer brewing competition because they run a pub.
Yeah, I've just seen the poster for it, and it just looks like they're standing in beer. So it's probably going to be British comedy with British humour in.
Well, if you enjoyed Wuthering Heights, it's got Martin Clunes in, and I'm a sucker for Martin Clunes. Loved Men Behaving Badly.
Fair enough. Well, maybe it does okay in the UK, but I do not think it'll have a single bit of success in any other country.
Yeah, it does feel very much like a British movie, but I am down for the British movies anyway, so...
But then even something like, I know Bridget Jones didn't do that well abroad, but I think this will just have no appeal because I think a lot of its humour is just going to be reliant on the fact that you know British culture. So,
well, I do know British culture, so I am. I'm always excited for movies like this. But I think that wraps us up for this week. So we'll catch you again next week. I've been Reese.
I've been Ted.
And thank you for listening. Goodbye.